Give thanks every time. So, my whole business runs on one database. Every AI employee that I have reads from it and writes to it every single day. So, when the company behind that database builds a test to see which AI coders they can actually trust with one, I drop what I'm doing. It's called Supabase Evals. They ran Claude Code, Codex, and OpenCode against real database tasks, real security holes, real. Your users can see each other's data leaks. The main the main issue with any business right now is all about data. And they publish the scores. Quick honesty check before we look, because I keep it real with you. It's not literally scoring which AI breaks your database. It scores which coder gets real database work right. And that includes whether it leaks your users' private data. That's close enough to the thing that keeps me up at night. And a couple of these numbers genuinely surprised me. Stick around to the end, because I'll also tell you where I think all of this is going. So, why do I even care about this? Because I'm not a developer. I've been an entrepreneur for like the past 15 years at least. So, I could say I'm a developer for the past maybe like 6 months. I have been developing things, but I have never written a line of SQL by hand. SQL is the language databases speak. I just talk to mine through AI. And that database is not a demo. My research agent clocks in on its own every Sunday. I have multiple agents that follow it in my first workflows that I'm doing. It's all about building these AI employees. They read the database, they write, report back to it. So my whole content system runs through it. My whole business depends on these databases working correctly and the agents working with the database correctly. If an AI coder wrecks that, it's not a bug, that's my business. And database is super important. So, a scoreboard from the company that makes my database, testing the exact tools I use every day, that's not tech news to me. That's a report card for my employees. This is something that I was going to basically do anyway, is test to see which models work best. I just haven't got to it yet on the database. So it's like a future task that I was planning on doing just got taken care of for me. And I didn't even have to do the test. This is one of the reasons I love AI tech so much, is like when I have a problem, it advances so quick that a lot of times really like I don't even have to solve it. It's like AI knows what my problem is, and then like the next week it already invented the solution before I even got to like starting it, which is what happened here. So I'm super excited about this. And now I'm going to talk about what this test actually is so you can understand it better. So Supabase spun up real database stacks and containers, no mocks, and let the agents loose with the same tools that I use, the real command line, the real MCP connections. And the scenarios came from real support tickets, like fix a data leak where users in one company can read another company's rows, fix a broken RLS policy. RLS is row level security. It's super important. The rules that decide which rows each user is allowed to see, and it's the wall between your user's private data. So, I mean, for me, this is my business right now, and I'm the only one that's using it. But in the future, as I scale up and I hire employees, I'm going to have to make sure that everything is good with that, especially if I'm like doing cross business with other businesses. I mean, for right now, this is not an issue for me, but I know it's something I need to think about for the future. And for a lot of businesses using databases, it's already an issue. So, scoring is part machine, part judge. Essentially, you could do these own tests yourself once you understand how they work. And hard checks like can user B read user A's rows now? Plus an AI judge for the fuzzy parts. Each agent gets one retry, then the grade is final. So it's all open source. The leaderboard is public. Anyone can read it. Anyone can run it. Check it out. Supabase.com/evals. So here's the actual scores. The moment I've been waiting for. It was all so worth it. It was everything I thought it would be and more. At launch, the build stage snapshot looked like this. Opus 5 and Kimi K3 at 100%, GPT 5.6 Sol at 89%, Sonnet 5 and GPT 5.4 mini down at 78%. But here's the twist that matters for your wallet. Once you load up Supabase's skills, basically a well-written instruction file, and then the cheaper models close most of the gap. Sonnet 5 went from 78 to 100 just by adding a well-written instruction file and loading up Supabase's skills. So this is my whole right model for the right job thing with a scoreboard attached. I feel like this is a super important part of AI employees in the future, making sure you have the right model for the right AI agent, the right AI employee. And here you can see, especially when it's like writing, doing one of the most important things for your business, writing to the database or changing things in the database. This is like one of the most important things that you do not want to get wrong. So, I mean, if you have a cheaper model that all you have to do is, just add up some skills and make sure your instruction files are written right, why would you pay extra for like a better model? But this leads to more that I'm going to talk about too. So there were some really strange findings here that came up that I never would have expected. So basically, the ChatGPT based agents read about 8 pages of documentation for each task they get. Claude Code agents read about 2. So even with the instructions loaded, it checks the docs less than half the time. Claude will just go for it. As other people have seen that work with Claude, and I've noticed as well, and it's not an issue where it's done anything to break the database, but I've noticed that like sometimes Claude just kind of like, it feels like it's skipping the process. So to see that GPT, I mean, this is something that like just a simple test that I would have done probably wouldn't have told me. This is like next level information. Agents kept handwriting database migrations even when the project had a cleaner directive. Like if there was a better way, if they told the agent like, don't just handwrite the database migrations, like there's like a structure to it that we want you to use, the agents were still doing it. So Supabase had to rewrite their own guidance because the agents wouldn't stop doing this. Even AI has habits. Like AI is programmed after people, and people are not perfect. People have habits. People, think they saw something a certain way or heard something a certain way when they really didn't. And AI does all the same things. But here's my favorite one. They reworded one skill description, and its activation rate went from roughly 10% to 60%. So that just goes to show you that just by changing the wording of one sentence on a skill description can make such like a 50% effect on the output. So if you think prompt wording doesn't matter, the receipts definitely say otherwise. And almost nobody's talking about it. It barely made any noise. The receipts are sitting right there in public. Anyone can check it out on the website that I mentioned through Supabase. And I have not seen anything about this. I thought this was a great video to do because I have not seen anyone else talking about this. So now I want to get to like my prediction. Like, where do I see this trend going? Where do I see tech going in this aspect? And here's where I think this is going. This is my opinion. I mean, don't take this as like legit, like what's definitely going to happen. But I do feel like I have a pretty good understanding of tech and where tech is going. So every platform is going to ship a scoreboard. It's all going to be about the more companies invest in AI agents. And I mean, even individual people can gain a lot from AI agents. Supabase created the AI coders on Supabase. I think within the next year to two, every serious tool you build on will publish its own version of this. Like, how do the agents score on it? What agents work better with different tools? This is going to become something that you check before you pick your stack. This is going to become something that will no longer require you to test, at least at the level that's possible right now, to understand the best model for the best agent. And I think that this is going to be one of the highest leverage skills that a person can have for building with AI, especially when it comes to business in the future. And instructions will become the cheap edge. This test showed that a well-written skill file turns a 78% into 100%. Yesterday's model plus great instructions can actually beat the new current model with nothing. So this goes to show like you can take a cheaper model and you can give it the right instructions and the right skills, and it can do better than a more expensive new frontier model that has no skills or anything like that. So the gap gets brought back with wording, and that's a game non-developers can actually win. So the next thing is safety scoring. Right now, the test grades what agents get right. The community is already asking the other half, does the agent avoid destructive commands? Does it protect secrets? When that column shows up on the board, it really will be which AI breaks your database least. So that is like the next step to this. This was just looking at like, what's working the best, but now it's going to be like which one is, gonna basically break your database the least, has the least chance of breaking it. And I mean, to me, that's really the most important. All the other stuff really is not as important as not breaking the database. So I would have to say, summing everything up, it's not about use this model, not that model. It's not about like, which model is better than the other model, because they all work differently and they all have different use cases. And like I'm trying to say is like, it's understanding and actually like using different models for different use cases and seeing for yourself which ones work better. Because the agents, like even if you set up tests, the tests aren't going to always catch things that humans would catch. So right model, right job, real scoreboard. So this is a public open source test that makes every AI coder better, makes every builder better. Nobody loses when the grading is out in the open. There's enough room for everybody here. This is like so new, and it's still going to just keep getting better and better. The sooner you start to use this stuff, the better it's going to be. And then the more time you spend on it, the better you're going to get at it. So, nobody has to lose. Now, check out my free kit in the description. You can see it there. If there's a pinned comment, it should be there too. Make sure you give thanks every time. Live the life you love the life you live. I'll see you in the next one.